Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Romans chapter 12, verse 13. What's up, guys? It's me, Tolu, and I'm back with another episode of Talk with T.
Obio, badass.
Understand?
Yeah, somebody else. Mr. Dempsey over, yeah. Plenty people done the ask. Now with the Baba do the jazz. Shady Baba do well for me. Now my life is done better. Not because I suffer fast. Not because I pray and fast. No be your show, no be jazz. I'm watching. Daily Osinachi.
Okay, so as you can see, I'm not by myself today. I have my best friend here, Flora, joining me. We're going to laugh a lot during this video. But what we do talk about is very important today. So, Flora, would you like to introduce our topic for today?
Our topic today is on spiritual warfare.
Yes, it is. Okay, so basically, the definition of spiritual, before we get into the spiritual aspect, let's just go into the warfare definition. The definition of warfare is basically, it's in the word war, but spiritual warfare, can't say this word, spiritual warfare is the fight it's between good and evil and dark forces. And the thing don't worry about it, that happens all the time. The thing is with spiritual warfare that it can affect every part of life. It doesn't have to be just your spiritual life, but a lot of problems that people go through when they think it might be, regular problems that it actually is a dark force working in your life. That's not the case with a lot of it, but with some cases that I've come to read about or learn about, I remember I heard an example of a man who was going through a mental disorder, but that wasn't really a mental disorder. What it actually was a case of evil forces working against him because he's a man of God. And you come to find that with these problems, they really come for you, especially if you're a believer, because you are taught that God is the root of everything, of all good things. If you have a problem, just go to God. But these problems, they really come, especially to those who believe, they try to shake us out of our faith. What do you have to say about that? Just to elaborate on that.
I'm sorry. Well, dealing with spiritual warfare, we have to make sure that we're praying passionately in the spirit, because that is something that everybody faces as a Christian and in life in general. So make sure we're praying passionately in the spirit. And then in Ephesians 6:14, it says, put on truth as a belt to strengthen you to stand in triumph, and put on holiness as a protective armor to cover your heart. So
that's basically, as she said, prayer is probably the only way that you can really get through problems like this. If you're going through a problem and it's the work of evil spirits, how else are you going to get through that problem? Is with a lot of prayer. And when, I know a lot of, because of my church, like I told you all before, I go to CAC, we pray a lot against these problems. And when you first hear it, you think, why am I praying against this? It doesn't really affect me. But if you read more into the Bible, you get more into your faith, you realize that, especially if you're a believer, you're more prone to these kind of attacks. And while it's kind of scary to think about that, it's inevitable. I just said that word completely wrong. I know that. But it's very easy to be subject to these problems. And a lot of people who face these problems, they, turn away from God often. But the key is to not turn away from God, but to also to turn to God even more. As we heard today in a preaching, that you need to give thanks to God at all times. So even if you're going through a spiritual battle, and trust me, those are the worst types of battles, you need to always give thanks to God, because it says in Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good for those who love the Lord. So if you genuinely love the Lord, any spiritual battle that you're going through, as long as you pray about it, as long as you do the work, you will eventually not only conquer it, you'll become an overcomer, but it will eventually, it will be used for your testimony, basically. Another Bible verse, I don't know if it was the same one that Flora used, but it's in Ephesians. It's Ephesians 6, but then verse 13. It says, so put on God's armor now. Then when the evil day comes, you will be able to resist the enemy's attacks, and after fighting to the end, you will still hold your ground. So what is that basically saying? You just need to ask for the protection of God, for the armor of the Lord, so you're not shaken when a spiritual attack happens. It's not like always physical armor. Just praying to God, keep asking God, God protect me from this, God help me overcome this, God help me get through this. And as you keep those prayers, God will not hear you and will not respond. He will hear you and respond. So as long as you genuinely mean those prayers that you're praying, if you pray those prayers with all truth and conviction, that He will answer your prayer. He will bestow upon you the spiritual armor that you need to get through your problem. He will send helpers to you. And that's another thing, that if God sends a helper to you, especially, do not just dismiss it, because a lot of people, most of us nowadays, we're very prideful. We don't like accepting help. So especially if it's someone that God has sent to help you, you just need to make sure that you don't send that person away. You need to, how else can I explain it? In these types of attacks, the best part about it is that you're not alone. God is with you. God sends His helpers. So as long as you keep praying, and just keep asking for the armor of the protection of the Lord, then you will get through it eventually, and it will all work together for your good. So I hope the message that we've talked about today was able to help someone, and was able to, help someone get through what they're going through. I'd like to thank my best friend for helping me. That's my bestie, Remember, everyone, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Have a blessed day. Bye.